When remodeling a bathroom and needing to move a receptacle fed by an existing 15-amp circuit, the question arises of whether you can reuse the existing circuit or if a new, dedicated 20-amp circuit is necessary. Firstly, you can reuse the existing 15-amp circuit under specific conditions. If the new receptacle location is within 6 feet of the existing receptacle, reusing the circuit is permissible, provided the total load in the circuit, including the new receptacle, does not exceed 15 amps. Secondly, a new, dedicated 20-amp circuit is required under different circumstances. If the new receptacle is more than 6 feet from the existing receptacle, a new circuit is needed. Also, if the total load in the circuit, including the new receptacle, exceeds 15 amps, a new circuit is necessary. Furthermore, if the bathroom remodel includes a whirlpool tub or other high-wattage appliances, a new, dedicated 20-amp circuit is required. Now consider other scenarios that may impact the decision. If the bathroom is not being remodeled, you may be able to move the receptacle without altering the circuit, but it is important that it meets the criteria mentioned earlier, specifically the 6-foot distance and load requirements. If the existing circuit is overloaded, you may need to add a new circuit or upgrade the existing one to meet the increased electrical load. Overloading a circuit can lead to trip breakers, blown fuses, and potentially dangerous situations, including electrical fires. If the existing circuit is outdated, you might consider replacing it with a more modern circuit that includes ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI, and arc fault circuit interrupter, FSI, protection. GFCI protection is essential in bathrooms to protect against electrical shock, while FSI protection helps prevent electrical fires. Recommendations include consulting with a licensed electrician to determine the best course of action for your specific needs. Electrical work can be dangerous, and a professional can assess the situation and ensure that the new receptacle is installed safely and in compliance with local electrical codes. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a professional to ensure the safety and proper installation of the new receptacle. It is crucial to prioritize safety when dealing with electrical systems. Now let's delve into the technical aspects of electrical circuits relevant to this scenario. The National Electrical Code, NEC, provides specific guidelines for electrical installations, including bathroom circuits. Article 210.11. C3 of the NEC typically requires at least one 20-amp branch circuit to supply bathroom receptacle outlets. However, there are exceptions, and the specific requirements may vary depending on the local codes and the scope of the remodeling project. Understanding the ampacity of wires is crucial for ensuring safe operation. Ampacity refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor. For example, a 14 American wire gauge (AUG) copper wire, commonly used in 15-amp circuits, typically has an ampacity of 15 amps, while a 12 AWG copper wire, used in 20-amp circuits, has an ampacity of 20 amps. It is essential to use the correct wire size for the intended circuit rating to prevent overheating and potential fire hazards. When calculating the load on a circuit, it is important to consider all appliances and devices that will be connected to it. For receptacles, you should use the nameplate ratings of the appliances or devices that will be plugged in. If the nameplate rating is not available, you can use the general purpose receptacle load calculation, which is typically 180 volt amps per receptacle outlet. For lighting, you should use the actual wattage of the lighting fixtures. It is important to ensure that the total load in the circuit does not exceed 80% of the circuit breaker's rating. This is to prevent nuisance tripping of the breaker due to sustained high loads. GFCI protection is a critical safety feature in bathrooms. A GFCI is designed to detect ground faults, which occur when electricity takes an unintended path to ground. This can happen when a person comes into contact with a live wire and a grounded object. A GFCI will quickly interrupt the circuit, preventing electrical shock. GFCI protection is typically required for all receptacle outlets in bathrooms, as well as other locations where water is present, such as kitchens, laundry rooms, and outdoor areas. FSI protection is another important safety feature that helps prevent electrical fires. An FSI is designed to detect arc faults, which are dangerous electrical discharges that can occur due to damaged or deteriorated wiring. Arc faults can generate significant heat, which can ignite nearby combustible materials. A side protection is typically required for most branch circuits in residential dwellings, including bathroom circuits. When installing a new receptacle, it is important to follow proper wiring techniques. This includes ensuring that the wires are properly connected to the receptacle terminals, using wire connectors to make secure connections, and grounding the receptacle. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker and prevent electrical shock. When replacing an existing receptacle, it is important to turn off the power to the circuit at the circuit breaker before starting work. This will help prevent electrical shock. You should also use a voltage tester to verify that the circuit is de-energized before touching any wires. When working with electrical wiring, it is important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, PPE, such as insulated gloves and safety glasses. This will help protect you from electrical shock and other hazards. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is always best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to ensure your safety. The decision to reuse an existing 15-amp circuit or install a new 20-amp circuit for a bathroom receptacle depends on several factors, including the distance of the new receptacle from the existing one, the total load on the circuit, and whether the bathroom remodel includes high-wattage appliances. Always consult with a licensed electrician to ensure that the work is done safely and in compliance with local electrical codes. Remember that electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on the location. In California, where this remodel is taking place, it is essential to consult the California Electrical Code, which is based on the NEC but may have additional or more stringent requirements. Furthermore, local jurisdictions may have their own amendments to the electrical code. Therefore, it is crucial to verify the specific requirements with the local building department before starting any electrical work. When dealing with electrical systems, it is always better to err on the side of caution. If there is any doubt about the safety or suitability of an existing circuit, it is best to install a new, dedicated circuit. This will help ensure the safety of the occupant and prevent potential electrical hazards. Consider the long-term needs of the bathroom when making decisions about electrical circuits. If there is a possibility that the bathroom will be remodeled again in the future, or if there is a chance that new high-wattage appliances will be added, it may be wise to install a new, dedicated circuit now, even if it is not strictly required by code. This will provide flexibility and prevent the need for future electrical upgrades. In summary, carefully evaluate the existing electrical system, the requirements of the new bathroom receptacle, and the applicable electrical codes before deciding whether to reuse the existing 15-amp circuit or install a new 20-amp circuit. Prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the work is done properly. When evaluating the load on the circuit, remember to consider not only the receptacle but also any other devices that are connected to the circuit, such as lighting fixtures, exhaust fans, and heaters. Add up the wattage of all these devices to determine the total load on the circuit. If the total load exceeds 80% of the circuit breaker's rating, it is necessary to add a new circuit or upgrade the existing one. When choosing a circuit breaker, it is important to select the correct size for the circuit. A 15-amp circuit requires a 15-amp circuit breaker, while a 20-amp circuit requires a 20-amp circuit breaker. Using a circuit breaker that is too large can be dangerous, as it may not trip in the event of an overload, which could lead to overheating and a potential fire. When installing a new circuit, it is important to use the correct type of wiring. For example, non-metallic sheath cable, also known as Romex, is commonly used for residential wiring. The size of the wire must be appropriate for the circuit rating. As mentioned earlier, 14 AWG copper wire is typically used for 15-amp circuits, while 12 AWG copper wire is used for 20-amp circuits. It is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations when installing new wiring. This includes properly securing the wiring, protecting it from damage, and making secure connections at all terminals. When working with electrical boxes, it is important to choose the correct size and type for the application. Electrical boxes are used to enclose and protect electrical connections. They must be large enough to accommodate all of the wires and devices that are being installed. There are different types of electrical boxes available, such as plastic boxes, metal boxes, and weatherproof boxes. The type of box that is required will depend on the location and the environment. When making electrical connections, it is important to use the correct type of wire connectors. Wire connectors are used to join wires together. There are different types of wire connectors available, such as wire nuts, crimp connectors, and push-in connectors. The type of wire connector that is required will depend on the size and type of wire being used. When installing a receptacle, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions. Receptacles are devices that provide a point of connection for electrical appliances and devices. They must be installed properly to ensure safe and reliable operation. There are different types of receptacles available, such as standard receptacles, GFCI receptacles, and USB receptacles. The type of receptacle that is required will depend on the application. When installing a GFCI receptacle, it is important to test it to ensure that it is working properly. A GFCI receptacle is designed to protect against electrical shock. It should be tested regularly to ensure that it is functioning correctly. To test a GFCI receptacle, press the test button. The receptacle should trip, and the power should be interrupted. If the receptacle does not trip, it is not working properly and should be replaced. When installing an off-size circuit breaker, it is important to test it to ensure that it is working properly. An off-size circuit breaker is designed to protect against electrical fires. It should be tested regularly to ensure that it is functioning correctly. To test an off-size circuit breaker, press the test button on the breaker. The breaker should trip and the power should be interrupted. If the breaker does not trip, it is not working properly and should be replaced. Remember, working with electricity can be dangerous. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work, it is always best to hire a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the knowledge and experience to perform electrical work safely and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations.